Greetings, Hotep. So what I want to do here on this episode is that I want to talk about a few things in relationship to how alien groups work, how extraterrestrial groups really work. See, a lot of you out there, you guys are fascinated. You guys, you hear about these aliens and stuff like that, and you hear about the people seeing these aliens and things like that, and you're like, "Oh, I want to see one," and like it's some type of a cartoon or something. Like, this shit is so real. Like, you could lose your life fucking around with these aliens. You could lose everything that you started with messing around with alien groups. And they do run and control the world, and they run everything. They've been watching this planet. They've seen it all. And I tried to tell you this. They've seen it all. And it's so much that I could say in this video. This video is actually inspired from a question that I'm going to get into in a minute. There's so much I can say in this video, but I'm not gonna say everything. I'm not gonna spill the beans, because it's just a lot going on right now in politics. There's a lot going on in society. A lot of people are very upset because of this election still, and they're trying to take it all out on me. I know you like, who is you, nigga? You ain't nobody. Like, if only you knew. I got powerful enemies. Like, when you see people hating on me, these ain't just some guy that's washing windows in front of some liquor store somewhere. Nah, them niggas, them type people ain't even hating on me. When you see motherfucker hating on me, let me tell you something. I don't care how they look, what avatar they use, or whatever. That don't matter. You see a person hating on me, you know it's somebody that's like a big wig in society. A big wig. And that's the type of haters that I attract. So, but let me get into the meat of this video. So, I'm going to build up to it. So, this video may look like I'm talking about different topics, but it's building up to something. So, what would you do if your child wanted to get into an occult order? And you got to researching this occult order and come to find out that this occult order believes that the patriarch of this order, or the head man in charge, was an extraterrestrial. What would you do if your child wanted to join an order like that? Most likely, you probably wouldn't allow them to do that. More than likely. I mean, the average person is conditioned by society. They're like, they believe in aliens. That's crazy. And why would they believe in something like that? And all of this and that. So that's not the point that I'm hitting on, but you wouldn't be wrong in that. I'm not saying you would be wrong because you wouldn't allow them to join the order, but I'm just kind of throwing something. I want you to think about some things as I speak on some stuff that really went down in society. But say, for instance, you went on ahead and you said, go ahead and join this order. And by you allowing them to join this order, you have to sign over what's called your parental rights over, or your rights to control your child as your child. You have to sign that over to the order. Now the order that they're in, and they imagine that the order paid you all this money to do it, though. So the order gave you this money, but in turn for the money, or exchange for the money, you have to pretty much let the order adopt your child. Essentially is what it really is. So it's really not your child anymore. They've adopted your child. So imagine you do that, right? And you kind of still checking up on the child because you love the child and you're attached to the child and things of that nature. So you decide that you're going to check up on the child and, kind of follow the child in secret. So imagine that you found out that once your child was given over, your child was put through all of these initiations and tests. And one of the initiations and tests that your child was put into, their life was put on the line. Their life was jeopardized in this occult ritual. Now, when you read about the story of Cain and Abel, I'm going to start with that story. That's what you're reading about. You see, Cain, I think his Adam was his father. He didn't. I talked about this on other videos, but I'm going another direction with this. Keep in mind. But he didn't want his son to go into this order. He didn't really want his son. He wanted to give up parental rights. He ended up doing it, But he had a problem. I think his mother went behind his back. I think Eve went behind Adam's back and signed the paperwork and did it anyway. When the head Anunnaki came, was an extraterrestrial, came to them and asked them, they said it was an angel or whatever, asked them to have their son. What you guys don't realize is that Adam wasn't happy about that. He didn't want to let go of his son or whatever. So as the story progresses, you notice that Cain ended up killing Abel, and they blamed the Anunnaki for that. So that's when they stopped, I guess you could say, believing in the ancestral system of worship, and they fought to go back into what's called monotheism, or go back into what's called spookism, and the system of worshiping one God and believing in one God, or religion, or some type of religious god or figure, because they felt like they was fucking around with these ancestors and these Anunnakis and stuff like that, and they got confused, and they felt like their life crumbled and they lost their son, so they wasn't really trying to deal with that anymore, because their son ended up getting murdered by his own brother, because they felt like they blamed the order for that. They felt like the order drove him crazy. And I'm saying all this for a reason, because I'm getting into something that's a big problem that's in society right now. Very deep problem. It's a war going on. It's a silent war going on between extraterrestrial groups and modern day so-called civilized people in society. Big wigs, rich people with mega money, and they want to eradicate the world of all extraterrestrial influence. They know the stuff that Ram Hotep El is saying, myself, that's saying on these videos is true. You may think I'm crazy because that's what they want you to think, but they know the stuff that I'm saying on these videos is true, very true, and they want to eliminate not only these videos, but they want to eliminate people in believing in the reality that extraterrestrials may be the ones behind controlling the world. They know that they are, but they want to eliminate that thought and that idea, and some of them even want to go as far as eliminating extraterrestrials from the planet, period. Kill them all off. Let humans control everything. And I believe that this is something that humanity has to face, and we have to go through this phase, even though I know for sure that humanity is not going to be successful. They're not going to be successful because they're going to be tricked into eliminating themselves from this planet, and that's what I'm going to go into now. So imagine you in this experiment, right? So imagine, let's go to another level in it now. So imagine, let's take it away from the Cain and Abel thing now. So imagine the head initiator, the initiator, or the person that's initiating you into this order, tells you that, okay, I'm going to do some things, and you're going to see some things, and you can witness what I do, and these things that I'm doing are for good. It's for the good of the planet. I'm trying to save the planet, but some of these things you may see me do may look very destructive, may look very chaotic, may look very insane even, but just know that there's a method to my madness, and know that what I'm doing, there's a reason why I'm doing these things. So imagine someone tells you that. So they said, I'm initiating you. I want you to come along with me and watch me do these things and stuff like that. But just know that some of the stuff that I'm doing is it's going to be a little bit chaotic. So it's up to you. You can't judge me. Just keep in mind that this head person or whatever is telling you this initiator is saying you can't judge me. It's okay for you to stay along, but if you begin to judge me, then there's going to be repercussions. There's going to be consequences. You're going to start to lose things. You may even lose the ability, or you may lose the acceptance or the invitation, I should say, into this order. So you go ahead and go along with it, and you start to see people turning up missing. You witness people dying based on this initiation that you're in or whatever. You witness this initiator orchestrating events that cause death and calamity and all kind of shit, right? So the average person, you're going to judge them with your little human self. You're going to judge them or whatever and say, well, this person, that's wrong what they're doing, and they killed, like, all these people died and all these people suffered behind this person or this initiator. But then imagine if you had to stay with the course and stayed in the flow and in the mix of the order. Imagine if some of the things that this person is doing ended up panning out, how would you have felt? Imagine some of the stuff that this person is doing or did, or some of the all the calamities and things like that that this person is doing ended up panning out. How would you have felt? And when I say panning out, I mean it ended up amounting to something great. How would you have felt behind that? That's what you got to ask yourself. But then you decided to get out of it. And not only that, you may have went to the law enforcement and everything and went and told on this person and went and told, to back to your community or to your family and told on this person and tried to even destroy this person because you felt this person was a wicked person. But imagine if this person ended up following through and succeeding and ended up becoming successful. You would have felt pretty bitter, right? Well, that's kind of like what's going on with extraterrestrial groups. There's extraterrestrial groups. There's actually the Andromedans. We're going to get specific. So now we're getting into the meat of this video, and I'm going somewhere with this again because this is actually a question somebody asked me. I'm going to get to that in a second. So there's these Andromedans that had a request from a high political group of reptilians, actually, but they're hybrid humanoid reptilians that decided that they wanted to get initiated into this order with these Andromedans, right? And some of them, one of them was running for a political seat, presidential seat. And they're going to get mad because I'm saying this, but I get to say what I want. This is my channel. I run this shit. So if you don't like it, you can just have 1 million people come on and hit the dislike button or whatever the case may be. Have 1 million people come on and go on Twitter and the news like y'all do me and make up fake stories. That's fine. I don't care if you don't even watch it. I don't give a fuck because if somebody asks me this question, I'm going to say what I want to say. You see, because other people make parodies about these politicians and shit like that, and you don't judge them when they make in front of them and all of that. But then when you're hearing some real truth and some shit that really went down, it strikes a nerve because I'm right. I'm right. That's why they really mad now, because I'm telling you why this is going into why they mad at me. What I'm about to say about what happened with this politician or whatever. And it's happening now to the one that got elected. See, you guys are getting played by extraterrestrials. And you're mad. They're playing your fucking ass. And you think it's a game because you think it's funny. At first you thought it was funny. Then you found out it was real and you got scared. So now you're trying to just go on all out rabid dog mode to destroy these extraterrestrials, and you're making it worse and worse on yourself because they're beating you with intellect. And you're just like a rabid little dog that's trying to go bite the kid or go bite somebody, and you think that's going to save you, and it's not, because you're going back into your nature, which is a dog. Going back in dog mode. And it's really not helping you. That's what I'm saying, because they've watched this stuff. This happened before. It's just like the person that's getting bullied on, and they be maybe getting bullied on by somebody that is way more advanced in fighting than them. And they go home and get a bat and get to swinging and kicking and screaming, but you can't hurt the person that's bullying on you because the person that's bullying on you may be an advanced martial artist and they're bullying on you through a more sophisticated modality or form. That's what's happening. That's how aliens are doing you guys right now. So, and I gotta talk like this. I gotta really keep it 100 for real on this one. So that's what's going on or whatever. So these politicians, they decided they want to go, work with these Andromedans, and they were working with the reptilians, and the reptilians, to them, appeared as though they were getting weak, but they're not. The reptilians are actually transforming and moving their whole species over into another physical form, the way that they look. So a lot of these powerful people, see what happened was that when back in 2008, before the shift happened, a lot of the way that extraterrestrials ran the surface of the earth, they had a vote, and they decided that they were going to change that. They were going to start the process of changing that back in 2008. The way the surface of the earth was ran, they decided that they were going to give the reptilians less control. They were going to give the reptilians less control, and they were going to change the way that the structure or the power base was ran. And they were going to, the reptilians were going to still have control, but they were going to pass it on to a different, I guess you can say, a different species because the reptilians are from Sirius. So let me make this all the way clear. So the reptilians are from Sirius, and what happened was is that they said that they were going to pass on their control, or control that they have from the Sirius star constellation. They're going to pass that over from the reptilian type species to the mammalian, or the mammal type species. And in that, when they did that, that was going to make them appear as though they were weak on the surface, because the mammalian species of reptilians are not really power hungry. So the pacts that they had with humans and things of that nature at that time, what happened was is that they were going to lose a lot of those pacts with humans, because the humans weren't going to work with these mammalians, because they were going to feel like these mammalian type beings or these mammal type beings weren't as smart as the reptilian types, and the information that they were going to be getting from these mammalian types wasn't going to be as the word am I looking for, as sophisticated as the information that they were getting from the reptilian types, meaning that the information that they were getting from these mammalian types wasn't going to give them enough pull to rule groups of humans and to form mass movements and keep mind control going on. The mind control on the planet was going to get weak. And this was happening for a reason, so it broke down. So what happened was that the Andromedans began to gain, or appear as though they were getting a lot of power. This was all strategically decided, though, from the council. So there's a council in the center of the earth. Some people call it the Council of 24, the 24 Elders. In the Matrix, you saw this council, let you know it's real. You saw this council, it was called Zion in the Matrix, and I believe the second Matrix and the third Matrix, you saw them. You witnessed them voting and talking about things and discussing things, and Morpheus had to go before the council. There's a council like that. There's humanoid people, individuals or entities on the council, humanoid-looking entities. There's reptilian-looking entities. There's a lot of different types of entities, fairies, dwarfs, gnomes, all that type of stuff. So this council, though, that exists in the center of the earth, is very real, voted and decided that they were going to make the Andromedans the dominant species when it came to controlling humans. The Andromedans, they rule very differently from the reptilians. So the Andromedans, they decided, see, they rule through what's called free will. The reptilians, they'll essentially force their mind control on you. That got weak. The Andromedans, they have to get you to say yes. Kind of like what I talked about earlier in this video, and I talked about if you were to give your child over to an occult order, you'd have to sign paperwork, and once you sign the paperwork, then they could do whatever they want to do to them. That's how the Andromedans work. So they have to get you to say yes or consent or contract, and after you contract, you're abducted into this experiment. And that's what happened with these politicians. So they decided to contract with these Andromedans because they were losing power. From the years of 2008 all the way up until 2016, a lot of the ruling families, or what you would think of the Illuminati, the 13 bloodlines, they started losing power to weaker, lesser families. To them, what was considered lesser families. And you've seen a lot of new, like, you've seen, like, say for instance, like China, and Russia, and these so-called third world nations, you notice, and they're gaining more power. People that they considered nuts, they're gaining more power. This was all sophisticated and strategically done. And so they decided they was going to get with these Andromedans, and these Andromedans promised them that they would help them get their power back. But the thing is that they went to these Andromedans, and the ones that they were working with were really tricking them, because of the fact that they knew that they were just a bunch of power hungry ex-reptilian hybrids, or people or individuals that were really swore their allegiance to the reptilians, and basically the reptilians lost power, so they would just run into the Andromedans so they can get some more power. And the Andromedans never had respect for them from the beginning anyway. So what the Andromedans did was that they gave them a false sense of power, and they said, well, you're going to help us, we're going to give you this information, we're going to help you to rule the world again, and in return you're going to, pay homage to us and give us access to be able to harvest our technology and a group of humans and all of this. They basically made a deal. I'm not going to go into what was in the deal, because that's not the point here. But the thing was is that the dominant group or individuals that went to these Andromedans were women. They were ex-reptilian types, women that were really strategically had affiliations and pacts with reptilians, and they lost those pacts. So they went to the Andromedans, and what happened was is that when they went to the Andromedans promised them like they was going to get more power, they was going to get all this power back, and the Andromedans ended up tricking them because they wanted to get them out the way, and that's what happened. And these women ended up losing a lot of power, and now they're stuck because the Andromedans really kind of tricked them. And what really happened was is that they promised. What happened with the Andromedans is that they promised that they could offer, or they could basically get male patriarchy out the way. They could get male patriarchy out the way if they followed their instructions closely. Because these women were like, we want to get away from this male patriarchy because that's what made us lose control from the reptilians in the first place. But what ended up happening was is that instead of them focusing on getting male control and patriarchy out the way, these women got so drunk off the power that the Andromedans gave them that they decided that they wanted to wipe away male presence, or wipe away the males that were legitimate heirs in certain estates out of the way, period. And it started with actually when Mandela died. This is what I'm getting into now, because they wanted me to do this video. This particular female actually must be a very wise female, because she asked me a really good question. And she said, "What I want to know what the Mandela effect is. I want you to do a video on the Mandela effect." And that's what this video is really about. So these women, high rich type women though, with money, that was working with reptilians years ago. And I'm talking about like year back in the 50s and 60s and 70s, going up into the 80s. This is a class of women that have been working with the reptilians that achieved a lot of power. They broke away from women's lib, and came from that time when women couldn't have nothing, and they finally got something, and they went crazy off of it. And they almost took over the world. The Andromedans promised them that they would take over the world. However, the way that they were looking at taking over the world, they went and took some information that the Andromedans gave them and went another way with it, and they failed their initiation, and they didn't make it into a mystical order that was ran by some Andromedans, which are another group of sovereign females. But remember, I told you that these Andromedans, they pay homage to a male in secret. That's right, it's a head male that runs the Andromedans. There's some women, and they're sovereign, and they have power, but they still have to pay homage to this particular male. And that's what I'm going to go into now. So the Mandela effect was really about taking the male that were legitimate heirs. See, when you deal with estates, this has always been passed on from man to man, or from father to son, or from grandfather to son. When you talk about passing on family estates, this was something that was always done. Even back, it goes back into Sirius. Even it goes back into our Father who art in heaven. This is why a lot of times, a lot of groups like Christians and stuff like that refer to God as a male or under male attributes and not female, because this is dealing with a state. This is dealing with the soul aspect of your body. Actually, is what it's dealing with. It's dealing with the Baba, the Father. So what happened was that these women decided that they wanted to make Mama and put Mama in the place of Baba. And that's where everything got fucked up at, because that's not the way that the universe works. This is not sexism that I'm teaching. This is facts. So they wanted to take the N off of man and just make it Ma. And this would affect the structure, or the way that the soul is passed down into families, even though. Because women that have a soul, your soul is linked to your father's side. Now, I did a lot of teaching on women. I said I was going to go this way and start talking about males. And so before you say I'm a sexist, I've taught all this stuff about how great women are, how you can't trace your DNA, your physical, earthly DNA back through the male nuclear DNA and things of that nature, because the chain that the nuclear DNA creates is broken. It's not as traceable according to science, so you can only trace back yourself as a physical being through your mother's line. So I've taught about the mother, and a woman is very important, and you know this. So before I go this way, I just don't want no women. I don't want to lose any of the women and women think that I'm now Ram Hotep sexist now. And he's just teaching on this man versus woman stuff. And it's always like, no, remember that you guys created this. When you decided that you wanted to rule the world as women, you created this. Now, I'm speaking to a certain class of women. See, a lot of you women that's just going to work, come home every day, you don't even know what I'm talking about. This probably sounds like mumbo jumbo to you. These are these rich bitches, you know, that's on TV, that you see on TV, that's like, I'm single, I don't need no man for nothing, and I'm going to make it to control these niggas, though, type of thing. They wanted to run the world. This is the group of women that I'm talking about, actually. And it's actually stemmed from, it really came from a male, because a male was the one that started women's right or women's lib or whatever. Even women's lib, because of the fact that women couldn't have anything. They were considered minorities at one point back in the 50s. That's where this is coming from. This is just a natural flow of things. But it kind of came to a head during this election because we had our first female that wanted to become the president. And I got to keep it all the way 100. And this is where really they going to get mad at me now. But like I said, well, gee, man, say what I want to say. Just tell your kids not to watch it, man, whatever. It doesn't bother me. I've already got 5 million plus views. I've already been successful in making the occult. My job, really, to be honest with you, the first leg of it is complete. The stuff on YouTube, I'm just throwing out information. I'm working on something totally different now. We're going on another direction. I'm not going to tell you what that direction is. This shit about being online and making this popular and all of that, I've already done what I had to do. In my book, I've already fulfilled the prophecies that were said of me. So I don't care at this point. You wasting your time telling people not to watch me. I don't care. It's already been done. It's over. I'm at the finish line. Like Hov said, I'm at the finish line with the flag waving. So I'm not worried about what you have to say about me or who you telling not to watch my videos or whatever. I don't care. So yeah, back to what I was saying. So you decided that you wanted to become president or whatever, but you was working for these Andromedas that tricked you into thinking that you were going to separate the soul from the family. The soul. That's what they wanted to attack, the soul, man and woman. Very key. So it was beyond just selling your soul. Let's destroy the oversoul I'm speaking of. So let's take this beyond, because you know you guys hear about these documentaries about how these artists got to sell their soul. That's just a minor. So that's the soul that they're selling is what's called the inner soul. You're selling that soul back. There's rituals you could do to try to regain slowly. It takes a long time, but you can slowly regain your inner soul back. What I'm saying is they went to war with the oversoul. These Andromedas tricked them to see if they were greedy enough to take the bait. And they went to war with the oversoul and tried to separate the way that wills and estates are passed down from the oversoul. This is how the male passes down information. The knowledge that you have, when I say the soul, you have to understand what the function of the soul is. The spiritual knowledge that you have and like how spiritual you are and knowledgeable you are about your soul or blueprint, your soul's records. This comes from the Father. This comes from your daddy, whoever your daddy is. Even if he wasn't knowledgeable, it doesn't matter. It comes from his side of the family, your spiritual knowledge. And they've tried to separate that. And that goes into your spiritual knowledge, or not even just your spiritual knowledge, but your solar knowledge. Let's call it that, your solar knowledge or cosmic knowledge. This goes into, because spiritual knowledge, that could just be anything. Like that could just be dealing with like how in tune you are with your breath and meditation and how the way you feel more so. But your solar knowledge, this goes into what you know and goes into your moral standard or code and what you know, what you consider as being right knowledge versus knowledge that's not so right. They try to disconnect you from that. That's what I'm explaining. That comes from the Father's side, and that goes into, see, the more a person can trace themselves back, like it's one thing to say you got this beautiful bloodline and all it is, but you don't really know much about it. That means you don't have a soul. The more you know about your family's bloodline, the stronger and more powerful your Ba is, or your connection to Baba, the oversoul, the Papa. So you may not even know your dad physically and still have a connection with him through the oversoul. That's what I'm speaking of, because you may have a knowledge of your blood. Like, you may have went and researched and spent your whole life knowing that. They wanted to separate you from that. These women did. And they wanted to separate the father or the patriarchal figure and make the father into the mother. But I'm speaking on the cosmic level. We know that Mother Nature or Mother Ninti created us. We wouldn't be able to live in these physical bodies if it wasn't for Mother Ninti. The physical body is very much feminine aspect, but the masculine part, or your connection to Sirius, this is where I'm getting at. When you talk about, I want to ascend and all of that type of talk, all of that knowledge, that's connection to the Father. You must go through the soul to do that. And you have to be able to trace back even your knowledge that you know about your past life and your soul's reincarnation. This type of stuff comes through the Father. This is why, as a male, I was given a lot of knowledge of being able to read people's past lives, but then you do have women that are much more psychic than me as far as knowing what's going on with a person on a day-to-day level. But I can tell you what you did 20 days, 20 bodies ago. That's knowledge that the male can bring, the father can bring. I'm not saying the woman can't have it. She can have, if she has a connection with Baba, she can have it too. But that's essentially a patriarchal masculine. See, that's masculine. Being able to trace back generations, that's a masculine trait. Or a solar trait is what I really would call it, because masculine is not really a sufficient word to use for this, but I can only use these words because we're speaking in English. So you don't know the Metuner, which is really the original language we spoke in. We've lost our language, so I'm expressing concepts in words that you will understand, but really the term would be soul. And the term soul is kind of like really considered masculine, but I don't want to use that word because you guys hate these women. They get masculine. It's like you get shocked. I don't like that word, masculine. The feminine movement, the feminist movement. We're going into the shift. Number 13 is feminine, the feminine energy. So you get shocked when I say stuff like masculine. They don't even want to hear that. As soon as they hear it, that's how women are. Like, they just you lose all your emotions. Don't get emotional on me, sisters. Let's have a connection with the soul here. We're reasoning here. I'm not beating up on anyone. I love my mother just as much as I love my father, and that's how it's supposed to be. But some of you see, because the order, that's what it's going into, the Mandela effect. See, she told me to do a video on what the Mandela effect was. It started when they locked your man up, Mandela. Why did they use Mandela? Because a lot of this stuff they're talking about the soul traces itself back to South Africa. That's why they use Mandela as an example. But once he toppled, they toppled him or they killed him, then it just kept going down to Fidel Castro. He just died. See what I'm saying? Like, it's all of these male figures. They're still going to try to do it now. Just because she didn't win the election or whatever, that doesn't matter. They're still going to try to do it because they have to try to do it. And this isn't Democrat versus Republicans or any of that shit. Because I have something I'm going to talk about, the new president-elect, but I can't even talk about what he's trying to do on this video. It's too long already. I already talked over the amount of time I was supposed to go. So that's what the Mandela effect is. I just wanted to answer her question. They want to affect the world by taking away the father or the male from the home and separating the male from the woman. This is an old tactic. It's nothing new. But I'm just explaining to you how they did it this time, because they're doing it this time through the oversoul. See, when they conquered the Native Americans last time, they did this last time. You want to know what they did when they conquered the Native Americans last time? They just did it a different way. The slave master, they call it slavery, but that's really what slavery is, when they overthrew the Moorish Empire. That's what Rome is, the removal of the Moorish Empire. Rome. I learned that in the Moorish Science Temple. Shout out to my Moors. So when they came and did this stuff last time, it was a different tactic and a whole other way they were trying to do it, because they used the males to do it this time. This time they were using actually the rich females. When they tried to do it in the Roman Empire days, or the Holy Roman Empire days, they used the male to do it. This time they tried to use the female to do it. They thought they was smart, but it didn't work, actually. And that's another reason why. The reason why it didn't work is because the same group of extraterrestrials that told you they was going to give you. I will say this much about the new president-elect. The same group of extraterrestrials that gave you all this power and said that they was going to, help you get from under this control of the male and all of this and that, and you were going to be the women, were going to be the rule. Mama was going to be the ruler of the estates, the executor of the states, and not just the executor, but the ruler. The queen would, essentially the rank of queen would be over king. You had to remake the chessboard. These people that taught you this, guess what they did? They went and they made your competitor, who you thought was your competitor, and gave him the and made him win. The same group of people that hacked the election, that they keep saying the election was hacked, same group of people that made you lose. They were the same group of people that told you you were going to win. These were your correspondents. As I told you, they play both sides. They have over 720 degrees worth of information. They actually have 1440. They demonstrate that 1440, actually. You don't even know nothing about that. Nothing about that. I've never even talked about it. But they demonstrate 1440, so they tricked you. That's what I'm saying. You think you know some shit. You don't know shit about what you going to stop. You can't stop nothing that's unseen. You don't know anything about the unseen. You can't even get up to 360 in any of your orders. So you have no knowledge on being able to stop this. You can't even master 360 unless you master the Zodiac. And you haven't mastered the Zodiac. You haven't mastered that. Because I can go online and look at other... I don't even talk about astrology no more. I can go online and look at other astrologers and prove that you haven't mastered the Zodiac because they're not talking about nothing. They ain't talking about no affirmations, stuff that I'm speaking on, or anything close to it. They're just talking, well, today is Gemini, and this is how Geminis are influenced. And you got some cosmic ones out there or whatever, but most of them ain't even initiated into the order of Melchizedek, so I can't even speak to you on that level. So that's what really happened. It's interesting. They started with Nelson Mandela. It was a reason why they started with that, and I do have to hit this point. This goes into economics. Very key, because you would say, well, why come economics got anything to do with Sirius? You talked about the soul existing on Sirius, and that was just knowledge on ancestral knowledge. What does this have to do with economics? It has everything to do with economics because of the fact that when you deal with commodities and anything tangible and physical, this is dealing with economics and rationing out resources and things of that nature. And this was always done through the knowledge of the soul, the knowledge of Baba. This is why when you study family estates, like over here, they don't deal with any of this because they don't deal with the monarch. So over here, it's just capitalism, and they just pass on money and stuff like that to their kids, and it's cool or whatever. But you notice that in marriage, demonstrate it to you like this. Yeah, let's take it from this perspective. Not from really, it's economics, because marriage is definitely a contract dealing in economics. But I had to do a whole nother video on marriage. I've done videos on it, but I'll go more in depth now based off of the knowledge that I have now. But this is why you know that the soul is a masculine part, because even in this country, I'm using something in this country, the way you do things here. When you get married, they're trying to change this too, but when you get married, you take on what? Your husband's name, last name. You switch your last name, which is very key, and you go and you take on your husband's last name. So the reason why you do that is because this is dealing with trusts and names, and these names may go back to other lands and other countries. And as the woman, if you want to trace yourself back through Baba as the soul, you have to marry the right male and take on the last name of the right male so that you can go further into your soul's generations. Because really, see, the elites, they practice incest, or a form of ancestral mixing in with people, marrying people that were in their bloodline, actually. But they might not necessarily marry like a brother, even though some of them did. Some of them did. They married their half-brother, though. See, they weren't married like their brother came from their mother. They were married their brother. Say, for instance, they was a woman. They would marry their brother that came through their father. He may have had other wives, and they would marry what you would call their half-brother. But the father may have chose his second wife, may have been someone that her bloodline may have been connected through his soul, may have took him deeper into, say, for instance, he may have been, let's give you an example, he may have been from South Africa, and his roots may go back to South Africa, and the woman, his second wife's roots, his first wife may have been from South Africa too, and they may have amassed an empire, and then his first wife may have picked out a second wife for him because the first wife did it, actually. The concept of polygyny, or all of that, comes from the woman. She may have picked out a woman from South America and said that this woman is actually related, so she's our distant cousin. And my father married her, or whatever, her mother, and this is how I met her. This is my half-sister, and I want you to marry her. So he may go and marry her, and now he's tied into a whole separate estate over in South America. That's how it worked. This is having knowledge of the soul. So marriage was passed down through having knowledge of the soul, and every time you get married, what happens? You get to share in the estate. You guys are partners now, really, is what you really are. If you do it right, and you get to share in that person's estate. So that's what they did. That's what they did. It's very interesting. So that's what they wanted to, that's what they wanted to separate and wanted to break up, because that's really the order That order is way deeper. That's the order that's going to lead you into the extraterrestrial orders. And if remember, I started out this video talking about how they wanted to totally murk off the ETs, or what they call ETs, which is going into ancestral worship, because they were bitter because they feel like these ETs are tricking them. Because this is letting you know that they are new to this planet. There's a group of people that's in control right now that are newer to this planet than those people, or their mindset is newer to this planet than those people that practice that ancestral type worship or that biblical type of system of passing down names and passing down estates through the male aspect of the bloodline, and even though the female would still get it, but she would get it through marriage. And it's a reason for why it was done like that. See, they were like, we don't want to get married to get this money and to get the Bentley. Why can't I just get the Bentley by just killing this nigga off and using the insurance companies to get everything that I want? That's what a lot of women's doing it, man. It's called sacrificing. And the thing is that that's not even the oldest form of sacrifice. That's the I was gonna say European, but it's not even that. That's the capitalistic way of sacrifice. When you go get insurance policy and get paid, that's not even what was really the doctrine of sacrifice. Really, even it had nothing to do with money. I mean, money came into play even back in the day, but you have no money. You dealing fiat notes. So the insurance companies own you. You're essentially just sacrificing people off to pay less money in taxes. Totally owned by the construct, the machine, man. It's messed up. So the Mandela effect is to remove the male from the home and to put the female as the controlling factor of passing down knowledge even to the sons, and to make males that do exist, make them into boys. That's another part of the Mandela effect. They're going to let males exist, but they want to make them into boys. Very key in why I'm saying this, but we'll talk about that at another time. After something happens in society that's getting ready to play out in front of your eyes, I'm going to talk about what these boys really mean. They want to make them into boys, and I'm not speaking from nothing about homosexuality. This is deeper than that. So I just want you to know that. But they want to make them into boys, meaning that the woman is the head person and the male doesn't really exist. And the only way the male can exist is if he's given clout from the state, meaning that the state takes over the name. So then now the state controls your name, and the state gives you your licenses of marriage and certificates of estates, and everything is all controlled by the state, which puts you up under another form of slavery, a 14th Amendment aspect of slavery. That's what's really going on. So they were trying to take that to the next level, though, and totally eliminate even the knowledge, I'm saying, that you may have of your ancestors in Africa or Asia or these third world countries that are gaining power. Because, see, in order to go into emperorhood, and they know that's where the world is headed, see, as long as people like myself and other people keep talking about nationality, capitalism is never going to be the same. The stock market is never going to be the same. They have to totally eliminate this knowledge of nationality. Because as long as this keeps being talked about, guess what? You can't exist and operate in economics the way you used to. So that's what the Mandela effect is, or to affect the Mandela order is what it really is. The order of Manichaeism is what it really is. I've talked about Manichaeism in other videos. So I hope that answers your question, sister. It's a very interesting story. A lot more can be said. I'm going to go ahead and shut this video down. I thank you guys that are loyal and been watching the videos. Thank you for continuing to listen and watch. I'm going to go ahead and shut down. As you can see, excuse me for being on this computer, but I got attacked by the Andromedans a couple days ago, so I had to start back using my computer, which has a memory aspect, a memory issue, so that's why the video kind of looks off sync, so excuse me for that. But I'm just working on a lot of things right now, so you guys have happy holidays. They celebrate the holidays and things of that nature. I'm going to go ahead and shut down. Again, my name is Ram Hotep L. I thank you for listening. I thank you for watching. Until we meet again, which will be very soon, I'm going to leave you in Hotep. Namaste. Peace. And definitely love. I want to point that out too. Love your fellow brother. You know, unite. There's nothing wrong if you guys want to get married and things of that nature. Like, let's build families again. So love and harmony is definitely something I want to leave you in. Not hate and war and crying and complaining and pouting about who won and who lost. Let's get over that. Let's celebrate. So Leave you in peace, love, and light.